When most people hear the phrase music therapy, they probably picture someone singing songs or playing an instrument. But music therapy is so much more than that. It's an evidence-based profession that helps people communicate, heal, grow, and connect through music. And here at Jackson First, we're grateful to have partnered with Harmony Garden Music Therapy, helping make these services more accessible to people in our community. So today, I'm joined by friends from Harmony Garden Music Therapy Services. Let's dive in. Hi, friends, and welcome to Between Sundays. I'm your host, Tori Munier, and I'm really glad you're here. This is a space where we talk about faith in the middle of real life, the moments that don't always make it into Sunday morning. Let's dive in. Today I'm joined by Harmony Gardens Music Therapy Services and a couple of good friends of mine. Hi, how are you guys doing?
Hello, good.
Go ahead and introduce yourselves for our listeners, because this is the first time you've gotten to join me so far.
Yeah, I am Jamie Lawrence, the owner of Harmony Garden Music Therapy Services. We are a music therapy and early childhood provider that has been open for 20 years now in Jackson. And I'm also a member of the Jackson First United Methodist Church, born and raised here, and went to church here till I was about 20, then took 20 years off, and I'm back.
Yay.
And I'm Becca Moylanen, and I've been a music therapist this year for 20 years now. And I got connected with this because Jamie and I have known each other since 7th grade. And when I moved back from New York State after my internship, Jamie said, I've got a clinic and I want you to work with me. And I've been in and out with Harmony Garden for a number of years, and then more recently working full-time. And it's been a joy. And I am currently our elder care, hospice, end-of-life music therapy specialist.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for being here, because that's exactly what we're talking about today, because recently we've gotten to partner with you for, I believe it's called the Jackson First United Methodist Church Scholarship, where we get to help elders get the care that they need. So before we jump into that, explain a little bit more about Harmony Garden Music Therapy and the vision behind it, and why. Why Harmony Garden?
That's a great question. Well, I became a board certified music therapist in 2006 and came back to hometown, Jackson, and there was no music therapy job. And I applied for a few full-time positions that were close-ish and was never hired. So I thought, well, I'm going to just start something. And so I just... Actually, because I'm derailing just slightly, because actually, fun fact, many of you maybe know Lori Munier here. She owned the Learning Tree, which is a speech therapy clinic. And when I first came back to Jackson, she had just opened the Learning Tree and was like, well, I've got a room you can rent. So I started subleasing from her very, very affordably in 2006. And because she was the Learning Tree, I thought, well, I'll be Harmony Garden at the Learning Tree. The Learning Tree closed a couple years after I started, and I've been with my name, which I have ended up absolutely loving, because it's like gives me all of these options for program names that are all earthy and growing and roots, and and it's just been such a blessing. But that's where I actually started. I started with a contract that was 4 hours a week, and just created a position for myself here and gave myself a name with a DBA and just kept going from there. I just feel like being called to something that you love doing is really, really important. And I have always just loved being a musician and connecting with people, and music therapy was the perfect thing. And now here we are 20 years later. Harmony Garden has gone through lots of iterations where I had maternity leaves, and I had to bring on Becca, for example, to cover my first maternity leave. And then she was actually pregnant at the time with her son. And, you know, she called me 6 weeks later and was like, well, it's my turn. So I was like, tell everybody I'll be back to work. And so I had contract therapists, and then eventually got to the point where we now have a team of 7 board certified music therapists. Most of us are employees, 1 contractor, and we serve all ages and abilities and with music therapy.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that backstory. For those that don't know, Lori Munier is my mother-in-law.
Yeah.
So we have Jamie and I have a lot of fun stories we share back and forth sometimes.
Yeah, funny little connections.
Yes. Yeah, it's kind of fun to see the history of your childhood come back into our friendship a little bit now that we've gotten to know each other. So that's been a lot of fun. Yeah. What is something about music therapy that people might not understand or know about?
I think one of the biggest misconceptions with music therapy in general is that you have to have a music background to be a part of it. At least that's what I run into the most often. I will go to meet someone in a nursing home or somewhere and say, hello, I'm the music therapist. And they say, oh, I never played an instrument. And so just that very first barrier with a client themselves of assuring them, my tagline is always, well, guess what? If we do music therapy, I am the only one that is required to make music. And they usually laugh, and that kind of settles the tension. But I think also for family and friends and people considering music therapy for a loved one, just knowing that music is this beautiful way that we can connect with one another. Mm-hmm. And so it's a means of the goals that we're striving for. So the process of making music is what's so important, not the product of making music. So people don't have to have any kind of music background to participate in it absolutely fully. I don't know if you want to add to that. I think the biggest misconception or the joke that we always get where someone says, so what, you do therapy for musicians, right? Yeah. Which maybe we need that too, but but I think it's that you have to have music skills to be part of music therapy.
Mm-hmm. I always have a couple taglines that I tell people. Like, one is like, they'll be like, oh, I can't sing. And I was like, well, you know what? My dad has told me since I was tiny, if you can't sing pretty, sing loud. Like, doesn't matter. We don't care at all about the quality of the product. We're just here to like use music as that catalyst. And I'll also tell people, we need as many music appreciators in the world as we do musicians. So again, there's no pressure to be a musician.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That reminds me of the scripture, and I'm not going to know where it's at, but there's something somewhere that reminds people that all you have to do to praise the Lord is to just make a joyful noise. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be a pretty noise. It just needs to be joyful. And I feel like I know that there are sad songs out there in the world, but I'm somebody who can't listen to music and not feel some kind of joy anyway, even if it is a sad song. But maybe that's just me. I don't know. Who can benefit from music therapy?
Everybody. And I say that knowing that there are people out there who maybe wouldn't connect with it. But even like I actually sought out a music therapist for my own self when I found that I had hit a point where I was maybe needing some extra support. So music therapy is it is for everybody. We do typically work with like children or adults with disabilities, or someone that might have like an area of need when it comes to mental health support, end of life support. There are reasons that people kind of seek us out. Maybe a child who needs support with speech and language, mm-hmm. or someone with physical disability needing help with motor planning and moving their body when they're in a wheelchair. There's just unlimited reasons to need music therapy or benefit from music therapy. So that's why I kind of jokingly say anybody, but I found it very wonderful for my own self when I was also struggling with things.
Okay. Walk us through what music therapy sessions look like. What could they look like? I'm sure they're different, right? But
they are very different. I can give you a little snapshot. I'm going to give you a Tuesday snapshot. How's that?
Okay, perfect.
Because Tuesdays are my busiest day. I go to a nursing home in Chelsea and have a bunch of sessions there, and then I come back to our clinic and do some sessions there. So yesterday, this is a Wednesday. Yesterday, for example, my Tuesday, I went in and I started a session with an individual who's recovering from a stroke, and we played maracas together to recorded music that she prefers from the 80s. And so she played with her unaffected side, and I helped support her hand on her affected side, keeping a steady beat so she can feel those things. She can feel her limb even though she can't move it. And then working on muscle work, moving that limb, stretching it out. And then we went into meditation where that taught me, a guided meditation of her picturing her brain healing and to some live music that she could feel the vibrations of in her affected limbs. And then from there, I went to a dementia care group with a bunch of adults who are mostly still verbal but have various levels of dementia. And we used it as a way to connect with one another. I asked questions and they laughed and talked about places they had visited and things like that. And it was really meant as a way for them to connect with the people they're living with. Mm-hmm. Then I went to an individual session where I'm helping plan her funeral music. And so we talked through funeral music, but we don't just plan, we talk about the importance of why she chooses those. And so we did a lot of talk therapy, going through the emotions surrounding the songs that she's choosing. Then I went to a session with a woman who has pretty severe depression, and she does not like to talk about how she's feeling. So we're putting together a songbook that she likes singing. And she chooses which songs she wants to sing on that day to convey the mood that she's in and how she's feeling. And that's how we address her emotional state. And then I came back to the clinic and I met with a young lady who has autism and is always very excited to tell me what to play. And I played Disney music as quickly as I could as she changed book after book, and she played the cymbals and the drums along, and I sang as fast as I could, and and then went into a session with a woman who is my age actually, who has cerebral palsy and is nonverbal but loves to sing, and we just sang for an hour together and let her express herself singing ooh and ah, and then I did a whole lot of paperwork at the end of the day. But those are just some of the things I experienced with the caseload that I'm working on. And there's more too, but Jamie has worked with people a lot of different ages as well, and it looks different in different settings too.
Yeah, we work also with a lot of early childhood and young children, and some of it is group work. We do groups with like early on, for example, and the children in those groups are all trying to work on some of those early developmental milestones. So we're using music for grasp encouragement, like so that they can hold on to maracas or egg shakers, or speech and language, communication, peer awareness. So we're like just working on social sharing and social play, and individual work. You can kind of do the same thing. And then, like for me, a Tuesday snapshot, I also had a caseload yesterday of hospice patients that I went and saw, and then flew out of that to go to do a community concert and performed for families and children. We had about, I would say, close to 200 families last night, 150, 200, not families, people, children and adults included. And we, just share music and get families to engage and really try to foster that community aspect. So like as a music therapist, you can do all the things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And well, my son's gotten to be part of some of those group classes too. And I remember being surprised to come home one day and it's like, I feel like we didn't do anything, but then I'd see it in an hour, him in his bedroom doing the exact same things. And it's like, oh, so that's how that happens. Yeah, like it doesn't feel like therapy at least it didn't at the time. And now I've seen the results of that.
There's so much play, but they're little sponges. Their little brains are sponges, and they are just absorbing to then figure out where they're going to wring that out and do it later.
Yeah.
Well, and I think music, because it's fun, you can almost, we're not tricking people, but you can take kids who take the fun aspect of it and don't necessarily realize they're working on skills. Mm-hmm. My son also attends one-on-one music therapy with one of our other therapists. Not me, that would be a bad idea. But he has a lot of sensory needs. He's 12 and he sees one of the other therapists. And the other day we sat down to do our nighttime routine, and nighttime routine is always very difficult for us. And I knew we had to cut his nails, and I was like, oh, here we go, and we sat down and he handed me his hand to cut his nails. And I knew that the music therapist had been doing a fingernail cutting song, and she even had brought nail clippers to tap his fingers to the beat. So she was tapping the tips of his fingers, and he just sat and let us trim his nails. And I cried while I was trimming his nails, because I was like, oh my goodness, music therapy is working so well. And he doesn't realize that it's therapy, and he would never do that in like occupational therapy or something. He would never let it happen. But music has that connective piece where we can connect on a different level and do things in a different way. And so that was a personal experience that I thought was really cool to have happen for music therapy.
Yay. I'm so glad that you were able to share that with us. Thank you. So speaking of surprises, what surprises most people when they finally experience music therapy?
I think people have a lot of times really have no idea what to expect. And so there are surprises in a number of ways, but one of them is that they do get so much out of it, especially for the people that maybe are like, well, I'll try this, but I'm not a musician or whatever it is. You know, it's funny because kids are actually so much more open to it. And I always think, man, I wish we could all be like kids in a lot of ways. Right? That's a Bible verse too.
Yes.
that we have to return to being children to understand God and his gifts. And I always think that I wish my adults could just do music therapy like the kids do and not worry about it so much. But I think they're surprised at how much they get out of it. And also, I don't know. I've been in music therapy long enough. I don't know what people picture when we say it. But I think a lot of times it's so much different than what they've pictured that they're like, oh, I didn't know you'd be playing songs that I like, or that we could just listen to music together, or whatever the case is. And a lot of times when we have family members, it's really neat to see families surprised, because especially with like dementia and things like that, music just touches our brain in a different way that speech does. So you might have someone that doesn't even speak anymore, and they'll sing all the words to a song with me. And family are just so grateful and so surprised that they get to connect with their person in that way when they haven't been able to connect with them in a while.
Yeah, I can speak to that with Mason and his speech development. And one day it was like, I think we'd been in sessions for maybe 2 weeks, not very long at all. And then suddenly it was like, I'm sorry, you know the song? Where did you hear this from? And of course, it was music therapy where he heard it. And it's like, you've heard that twice. You've gone twice, and you can sing this entire thing to me? Let's keep going. Are there any specific stories or moments that have really stuck with you in your time as music therapists?
You know, I have an individual that I've worked with for 10 years, like for a full decade, right? And meeting someone at the age of 2 and seeing the things that they need to work on at 2 just kind of developed through the process of music therapy over 10 years. And now knowing that person at, 13, and just seeing like how someone who had apraxia with speech and difficulty making conversations, or even being able to articulate specific words on command, switch over to being conversational, and then confidently wanting to perform and confidently wanting to learn instruments and just embracing everything that is music. That is one of like the biggest blessings that I think this field like has given me, is those families that you meet, and not all of them are long term. I had an individual that I worked with who was a young adult, like in their 20s, with severe depression and some comorbidities with mental illness diagnoses. And when I met this person, we worked a very brief amount of time and did a coffee house, and he was able to perform songs live with me, and I knew that music therapy worked really well for him in that small, brief time. And then fast forward, I just happened to be speaking with somebody who was related to this person and realized the connection, and they said, "Oh my gosh, you saved my son's life." And it's like, you don't even know that music therapy can be so impactful in a small amount of time. And that person still used music. Here it's like, this is almost like 18 years ago. So this person is 18 years older now, and, married and has a job and does all this stuff, and still uses music as that coping skill all these years later, because he learned it from music therapy in this small snapshot of time that I worked with him. So like those kind of things are just mind blowing to me.
That's awesome. I love being able to hear those kinds of stories. So thank you for sharing. Let's move into the reason you're here.
Yeah.
One of the reasons we're obviously having this conversation is because we've partnered together to offer a scholarship what can people expect with this scholarship?
Yeah, so it's actually a full-blown music therapy ministry, like to make sure we say all of it. And it has three different components. It has an elder care component, which Becca will talk about. It has a family component, so we do 4 different like family style groups or experiences. We've done concerts. We're going to do a drum circle. We've done sound healings, different things. That there's 4 of those a year. And then we also have a scholarship for all ages and abilities to be able to tap into to receive services when maybe their funding has run out and they would like to have another like 6 months of music therapy, or we have some people that are ongoing that just don't have the financial means whatsoever. Some of them are like wards of the state and don't have families that are able to contribute to that. And so the music therapy ministry that we started here is really robust and really, really, really cool. I'll let Becca take over the kind of elder care piece though for
Yes.
our congregants.
Yeah, it's really exciting. It started as a ministry just for congregants here at the church that were shut in or that, for some reason or another aren't able to get to church as often, and to make sure that we were part of kind of that visitation piece for the church, but providing more time with individuals and then bringing music to them because the church has such a great music program already. And what we quickly realized is that it was reaching people not just from the church. So, for example, one of the places I was going, I went to see a couple there and I did some hymns with them and everything. And they said, "Oh, we would love for you to come back, but everybody would like this." And so it's actually become that twice a month we go to the facility and we do a whole hymn sing with a huge group of people that don't all come to this church or don't have a background with this church, but now are being reached in that way. And one of the things I love about that is that a lot of people I see over all the years that I've worked in elder care, one of the things that a lot of them grieve if they had a history with church was that they're missing the worship piece. Mm-hmm. They don't get to go sing the hymns anymore. And it's just not the same thing to put in a CD or to pull up the Christian music channel on the TV. I mean, those are great things, but it's not the same thing as having worship music with another person. Mm-hmm. And so I've gotten to do that group as well as see a number of individuals from the church and outside of it. I've had a couple people that the first time I go to visit, we sing together and they become very emotional. And we discuss that. We're therapists, and I make sure that I don't leave a session until I know everyone's okay, But I will say, well, what is bringing up that emotion for you? And it's been over 75% of the time they say, I just miss making music with someone so badly. And so I always talk through that Bible verse that says, where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there I am. And so I always say, well, it's Wednesday or whatever day. And I said, I think we just had church on a Wednesday. And they're like, we did. And so it's just a really special thing to get to be part of that and do that live with people. Mm-hmm. And then expanding it, we had a few other people in the community that are in that elder care demographic. And I think one of the things that the general population doesn't realize is that older people can be wards of the state, like little kids in foster care that don't have parents anymore. There are a lot of older people that have no caregivers and are in nursing homes and being well cared for by staff, but have maybe a state guardian or something making decisions. They have no family. And so we started looking at the places we were already going for some of the congregants here and saying, hey, who's that person that sits in the corner by themselves or that doesn't have anybody, and started talking to staff and identifying those elder people who are really falling through the cracks. And it's been so neat to get to also come alongside them and be those people for them. Mm-hmm. Staff do their best, but they have 20 people to take care of in the morning. They don't have time to sit and visit. And one of the biggest issues in elder care in general is the loneliness factor. And I feel like music therapy and this ministry specifically has been so wonderful to just get to touch lonely people. It's been really special.
Yeah, and to go into also some of the scholarships that happen for other ages as well. This past year, when 2026 started, we lost a grant that funded all of our early on music therapy groups, which we'd been running at Harmony Garden for like 8 years. So we would partner with Early On Michigan, which is an early intervention state program that gives supports to kids 3 and under, to help them achieve milestones. Some of them might have an actual diagnosis of a disability. Some of them just might be flagged for like a speech delay or a motor delay. And when we lost that funding in the beginning of 2026, we decided to take some of our music therapy ministry funds and shuffle it around so that we could continue our Early On music therapy groups running through the entirety of 2026. So part of this fund has actually helped with that, and that touches a lot of different families, all different income brackets. A lot of them can't afford to do what they think is a typical music therapy group. However, we do have scholarships for those outside of the ministry as well. So if anyone's listening to this, Early Childhood does have our Ecosphere Scholarship available. But it's just a wonderful thing to be able to like shuffle that funding into something like the Early On program that was going to be cut due to changes in state funding. And we also have a couple adults with disabilities who, their parents maybe have passed, or their parents are with them, but they have to be full-time caregivers, and it's difficult to have the money and the jobs to be able to support all of the extras. But when you know that your adult child or a younger child benefits from music therapy, and you're seeing progress, especially in an adult with disabilities, when a lot of times people consider it maintenance, like, oh, they're as good as they're gonna get. Let's just try to maintain their quality of life. And then these families see that music therapy actually can continually help them grow and change and adapt, and they see growth. It's just, how can you turn that down just because their income isn't there? So this ministry has helped to fund some families to participate in music therapy that way. We ask them, maybe can you pay $5 a session, just so they have like a tiny bit of skin in the game, right? So that they're at least, having a minimal commitment. But we have some that just have zero. They can commit zero money, and we're able with this scholarship to do that. And I should say, I feel like I should definitely say out loud, this is from the Brian Bueller Memorial Foundation that was started when Brian Bueller passed away, who I remember as a kid being one of the organists that played often, on piano. He accompanied me when I played flute. Like, Brian Bueller was a fantastic musician, and he left a massive gift to this church. And it's really, I feel so fortunate and blessed to be able to help get that out and help it come to people and be able to use that fund in such an amazing way.
Yeah, and to let his legacy live on by helping others get the care they need through music, which he loved so much.
So much,
yeah.
Yes.
I have very vague memories of him sitting at the organ, and that's about it.
I can picture him when the wall was in the sanctuary, right? Like I still see the wall in the sanctuary sometimes from my childhood memories. That's
I have a memory of the wall, but it's such deja vu for me that sometimes it's like, did I really picture that, or is it just because I've seen pictures and heard stories? Because it's just kind of muddly in my head. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, I do think that he is watching and very grateful to see the fund being used.
Mm-hmm. What are some of your dreams for Harmony Garden over the next few years?
Ooh, I always have dreams. I just believe so much in how music therapy can work with community and can build community and can, just build. I don't know. I want it to do everything. I want it to be amazing and huge and like a little bit more self-sufficient with its funding. Because, we are for profit, but we do sometimes, I think, function as a nonprofit. It's just, we want to have music therapy be available for people, and I want it to continue growing, and I want it to continue past me. I want, it's 20 years in, another 20 years I've got, but like what happens after that? So I think the whole next 20 years for me is like figuring out how this thing can keep rocking forward so that music therapy doesn't go away just because maybe I go away or, retire or whatever the thing would be. I just want it to keep growing and keep connecting people with music.
How can the church help? Are there other ways we can step up and help?
I mean, I think I have no idea.
Well, I will say this from Becca's perspective and not Jamie as the business owner, we have a few spots right now. Actually, as things have shifted around on my end in terms of our elder care ministry and everything, if people are listening to this and understanding it a little better and saying, oh, that's not what I thought music therapy is, refer someone.
Yeah.
That's a tiny thing on my end, but Jamie's the one that does a lot of the bigger picture things like outreach events for the community and things like that. And I will say, because while you're thinking about that answer, we're just so appreciative. I've been a music therapist for 20 years and we've never been in this type of position before. And when we found out that you guys were definitely going to partner with us, and then I started talking to Jamie about my caseload and my potential caseload, I just was in tears for days because I kept thinking, oh no, I'm going to do it now. You might have to edit this. There's so many people we want to reach. Mm-hmm. And as a for-profit business, it's hard for us because I would do free music therapy for everyone at all times if I could. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I also have 5 children and have to pay my house payment, And so we always fight that battle of it's a compassionate job, right? Mm-hmm. And you want to reach as many people as you can. And how do you make that happen? And then I see all these people who are falling through the cracks, who are part of the margins. And just what you guys have done has been amazing to allow us to find some of those lonely people and be able to pull them in and be part of our community.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's why I'm having a hard time answering the question, right? Because you've done so much already. Mm-hmm. Just the fact that, I get a random email from Lindsay Michael, and she's just like, hey, we're thinking about doing an intergenerational group or something because we have this, this fund that we are trying to figure out how to utilize differently. And that just blew up into, oh my gosh, I am a grandiose thinker. So here's my big idea that I have right now when you're asking me, and it's way more than this one little intergenerational group, and then it just turned into me going, what is the church doing? I haven't walked in those doors in 20 years or 18 years. It was a long time. Mm-hmm. And so then I'm peeking back behind the curtain and going who is here and what is going on? And I feel so grateful, and I know already you guys have done so much to help Harmony Garden. And I just hope that we're reciprocally helping, Jackson First United Methodist Church at the same time. So whatever we can do for you, you can do for us, and we'll just keep on moving forward. So I think that's why I was struggling with the question, because I'm oh my gosh, do you want my next biggest idea? So you can talk to me personally about it.
I was saying, I love big ideas. We'll chat.
Yeah. And anyone listening, if you want to chat, I'm always open to talking.
So for someone who is listening and thinks that music therapy could be very helpful for them or for someone in their family, what are their next steps?
Yeah, they can reach out to any of us at Harmony Garden, but me specifically, you can call, you can email admin, ADMIN, at hgmusictherapy.com, or go to our website, which is hgmusictherapy.com. There's different referral forms you can fill out. There's, you can go to the music therapy part on our website. You can read about it. You can fill out a form that says, I would love to talk to you about music therapy, or, I'd like to schedule an assessment, whatever it would be. Or if you just want to check out our classes, you can come see a free concert. There are so many ways. Just find us and talk to us. We would love to plug anybody in. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you're listening and you like clicking on links, we'll make sure to link your website.
Okay.
Because that can be easier too sometimes.
Yes.
I sometimes just prefer to click a button. Let's end on a higher note, on a little bit more of a joyful note, and do a lightning round of some fun questions.
Okay.
What is your favorite instrument?
The trumpet.
A flute.
What is your favorite song right now?
Every time I hear that song by Brandi Carlile.
That's a good one.
Gray Street by Dave Matthews Band.
Ooh. If you could instantly learn any instrument, what would it be?
I would be fully proficient on, which one?
Guitar.
I think it's guitar too.
We use guitar a lot, but we said flute and trumpet. Those were our main instruments.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can do a session with guitar, but I wish I could sit down and be amazing at it.
I know. I just got my calluses back because I took about a year off from sessions, and I got my calluses back. But I want to learn even more now.
I wish I would have taken the time to learn piano when I was a kid. It was
Piano's
never
my
really an
close,
opportunity, but
Yeah.
do you like coffee or tea?
Diet Coke.
Ooh.
Easy.
It's cyclical. If you ask me today, it's coffee. But if you ask me like a month from now, it might be tea.
Wintertime's a good time for tea. I feel like that's when I drink
I'll
a lot
just
of it.
change one day, and then Dave will be like, do I need to make less coffee? I was like, yeah, I'm not drinking it. I'm drinking tea.
Yeah.
But right now, coffee.
Yes, I'm a coffee girl. What's one song that always makes you smile?
Give Me Jesus by Fernando Ortega. It's a really simple one. And I've been in a process lately. We've got an intern right now, and I'm the internship director. And we teach all these, technical things. We're always talking about now, what was your thought here? And what was the technique here? And what music are you learning here? And I was trying to tell the intern, it all comes down to connection, to connecting with people. And that's one I've been using in a lot of hospice sessions where people want religious music. And it's just so simple. And I feel like it wraps up life and all of those things, and it's just a joyful song, I think.
I would have to say Rainbow Connection. Like the Kermit the Frog sings.
Yes. I love it.
It's just one of those like happy, I love that song. I love using it in therapy. I love just having it, and I pop up randomly on my phone. Like it's just
Those are both good examples of how it's really impossible to be sad when you're listening to music. At least in my head.
well, it is possible. But
Fill in the blank. Music is blank.
amazing.
Connection. Oh, we talked at the same time. It is amazing.
And it is connection.
Yay. Well, thank you so much for coming and taking some time to be with me on the podcast today. And I hope that everybody gets something out of music therapy moving forward, and that if you're searching for it, you know where to go now. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
One thing I hope everyone listening takes away today is that healing comes in many forms. Sometimes it's through medicine, sometimes it's through counseling, and sometimes it's through something as universal as music. We're grateful for the ministry of Harmony Garden Music Therapy and for the ways they're bringing hope, connection, and healing to people throughout our community. And we're so thankful that we get to be a small part of that work too. If you'd like to learn more about Harmony Garden Music Therapy or find out whether music therapy might be the right fit for you or someone you love, we're including links in today's episode description. Thanks for spending some time with me today. If this episode encouraged you, share it with a friend or someone who might need it this week. And don't forget to follow along so you don't miss what's coming next. We'll see you back here soon in the in-between.